Okay, Proverbs number 22. As you already know, wickedness is a liar, a deceiver. Um, a fool is usually a liar and deceiver. It can also be ignorant, but most times we read this is going to be a liar or deceiver, a fool in his folly. Um, the righteous are always faithful who trust in God. Whenever you see kings, queens, it's always a sifting. So let us begin in prayer. Again, this is Proverbs 22 for the 22nd day of the month is the Christian tradition. There's 31 Proverbs, one for every day of the month is how most saints have done this as your daily bread. This is the 22nd day, so the 22nd proverb. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you as a humble servant and slave to your love and will, asking that you hear our prayers, asking that you let us read from your book of life and your holy scriptures with wisdom, understanding, and an open heart. Teach us in truth, reprove us in truth, always let us choose truth, letting you define to us and never us to you. Letting you be God and not us. Never let us harden our hearts or our necks like in the day of sin when our fathers provoked you and you have killed off nations and generations. But let us have a heart of flesh, a spiritual heart, a spiritual mind where we are moved in correction. For we know that those that are eternal are always reprovable people that will move to truth. And those that are not are spoiled, hard-hearted, and you do away. So let us forever be reprovable. And we pray this in Christ's name. For your glory, Christ's sake, and our posterity. Amen. Alright, Proverbs 22. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. The rich and the poor meet together. The Lord is the maker of them all. Even them that are spiritually poor, God makes. Even them that are rich and idols, God makes. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver. The good name is not yours. It's not your good name. It's you choosing God, God's good name. And the riches and loving favor is eternal life and truth. And the rich and the poor meet together, meaning that wherever you are, as long as you're coming to truth to God, asking God what to do, then this is the good name you choose. A prudent man foresees the evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Evil is a lie, a conception, adultery, deceit, and a prudent man will foresee this and get away from it. He hides under the wings of the Lord. He hides in the truth. It's not necessarily hiding, it's more like standing. It's made to sift you to see if you'll be a coward in the world or not. But reading it with the spiritual eyes, you see what he means. By humility, for instance, let us take saints. On 22:3, let us take saints who stand in the truth and are murdered. Let us take Christ. Well, he hid in the wings of God, but the evil killed him, right? But he foreseen the evil, and he didn't hide himself from the evil. He hid himself in God. He chose the good name, which is from verse 1. He chose the riches of eternal life, which is verse 22:2. And so what he means is the prudent man foresees evil and he returns to the Lord in truth. He is reprovable. By humility, and 22:4, by humility and the fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life. By the humility and fear of the Lord, the reverence of the Lord, this is where you find your riches. This is where you find the gold. This is the prudent man, like Christ, where you hide yourself in God, so the world doesn't change anything because you chose the good name. You chose the eternal name of God. Thorns and snares are in the way of the froward. He that doth keep his soul shall be far from them. He doesn't mean Christ is represented as the sacred rose, the thorns of life, which made him blossom into the perfect sacrifice. So when he says this, it's just like verse 3. He's sifting you. It's sifting you to see if you will run from the froward man, if you'll run from the evil who will imprison your kids, who will use idols. So you know that you're going to be tried in tribulation, as Peter says. Don't find this thing amazing, for all your brethren throughout the world are suffering the same afflictions, meaning you're in the same trials, tribulations. Now these are the thorns of the world, but what he means by this, what he's doing is seeing if you'll choose to stand, or if you'll take it that keeping your soul is being cowardly. Let's take a person in adultery who pays their bills, but forsook their wife married to another man's wife with their kids. Let's just take this for instance. Now he lives in a nice house, has a nice job, and he has no thorns and thistles in his life, because he would take this proverb and he would think he's keeping his soul by being obedient and cowardly. But when you take verse 1 through 5 all together, you can see the prudent man foresees the evil and hides himself. So the man that would take none of the froward blunt of the world, the thorns and thistles, because he didn't remain firm, he loses his soul, as verse 5 says. He that doth keep his soul shall be far from them. And so adultery would be a thorn of the evil that he's trying to lead you to. It flips the side around. It sifts you. The word is sharper than any two-edged sword. 22:6, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Fidelity and truth is what they're talking about. And so if you establish in them truth and fidelity, they won't grow up to be adults or Beelzebub, Baal serving men. They'll be servants of God. So teach them that God is truth, the good name, which is from verse 1. And they'll be prudent in the time of evil. Like they'll face the thorns and thistles of the evil clearly, because they'll stand choosing the good name, i.e. Christ, i.e. the saints, i.e. the prophets, i.e. faithful men, freedom marchers, Dr. King, so forth. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. This is another flip coin, like Christ did the coin with Caesar's picture on it. So the rich is always God when you're in the spiritual mind. So the poor is not poor. We know that it's just an idol. And any man that's spiritual knows that the rich use these borrowing tactics to put you in debt. They did it to your parents, they did it to their parents, and they wean you down by trying to tell you to pay them. But when you come to the truth and you have the riches, you find that everything they've done is in theft, lies, idolatries, blasphemies, treason. And so there's no way they're truly lending to you. In fact, there's a constant Supreme Court case that proves there's no money in the nation, that none of it's worth anything. And that's what I mean by when you find the riches. So when you borrow from somebody in this world, either you believe that it's truly theirs or you believe that it's God's. And so when the rich rule over the poor, he's talking also about the flip around when the day of visitation comes, i.e. the Revolutionary War, i.e. the Civil War, i.e. the black slave become president, Obama. Such things like this. David becomes king. The rich will rule over the poor in spirit. Always be thinking of spirit. He that soweth iniquity shall reap vanity, and the rod of his anger shall fail. Vanity is always lies and idolatry. So or adultery, fornications. It usually has to do with lies and idolatry. They're one and the same. He that sows iniquity shall reap vanity. For instance, drug laws. They're going to bring everybody into the prison, and the rod of his anger shall fail. So there will become a climax that they're working to do to make you a slave, but it will always come to an ending fail. He that hath a bountiful eye shall be blessed, for he giveth of his bread to the poor. Again, he's speaking spiritually and physically here, mainly because that which you believe in the spirit you'll commit in the flesh. So when he that is has a bountiful eye, meaning when you come to God for your bread of life, you'll give it like I'm doing right now. Um, you give out the wisdom like Christ did. He is the bread of life, the climax of it. So the root of it. Well, the I guess the vine of it, and we would be the stems, branches, I guess. And so when he says he gives the poor, he also means the rich too, because if they truly believed in God, they would give to the poor. For he that loveth the poor loveth God. That's why you always have the poor, because you'll always be able to demonstrate the love of God. Cast out the scorner, and contention shall go out. Strife and reproach shall cease. That's verse 10. Uh, what he means by that is somebody makes an idol to say you shouldn't do a drug, and then they destroy your family for the idol. Okay? Now, that strife, the contention for that strife was made by them. There was no issue whatsoever. Again, you have the poor driving with no insurance in this nation. They create an idol to create a contention, so that they bring strife and reproach. So that they reproach you, they deride and chide and wear you down to eat up your substance. Verse 11. He that loves pureness of heart, for the grace of his lips, the king should be his friend. 10. Also, cast out the scorner, and contention shall go out. So the cops, the judges, all them playing your scorners, doctors who are forced drugging our kids, who are coming up with stuff saying that their health and their peace, when they have never added a day to the life since Noah was 120. And the most healthy people in the world don't have doctors, but they have witch doctors. No modern medicine. But they, in their scorning, think that by their pride, their degree, their idol, their title, they can commit treason, blasphemy, and play your God. Also, what it means here is the true, because the scorner is usually not true. They're always projecting. Outside is the psychological term. They're always calling somebody else something so that nobody ever looks at them, to cause the contention. And if you remove these people, for instance, in America, it's your Bill of Rights. The law of this nation, the only law, the legal law, is the 10 Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence. Only unchangeable documents. Anybody in violation to them are in misconduct and abuse of their power. But they never teach you this. Okay, and the reason is the teachers profess it because they're all in on it. They're all scorners. They love their idols, their boastings. They are wicked witches building idol houses, Hansel and Gretel. And so what I mean is they do this to cause strife. They make drug laws. They make insurance laws just to cause strife, to reproach you. They're not true servants of God. It's the spirit of unbelief. It's sin. And because they don't believe God, they'll believe their idol. They trust more in a lie than they do the truth. Verse 11. He that loves pureness of heart, for the grace of his lips, the king shall be his friend. The king is God. Of course, always, it's a sifter to see if you'll turn to man or to God. Proverbs always sift. The whole book does. Never have a man rule over you. Never subject yourself, your family, to a man, and whether it be a government, a state, a judge, I don't give a shit what it is, what idol they make, what force they come in. If the whole world comes, like they did against Christ, the whole point is you have one King, one Lord, one God. Serve and worship Him alone, and this is pureness of heart, and this is why, for the grace that's on His lips. For instance, somebody says, well, that's a drug law. Let us destroy his family. Notice how their defiled end always comes with destruction, imprisonment, enslavement. Destruction of family for freedom of choice. Well, the lips of grace, who have one king, and he'll be their friend, God, he has grace. He says, no, screw your goddamned idol. You made that to cause strife and derision, such as verse 10 says. So 10 and 11 roll purely together. One is full of grace and serving only God. One is idolatry, serving goddamn lies. People who will make idols to commit divorce and say, I have a new marriage paper, I have a divorce decree. And they define the sacred off of this. These are scorners, idolaters, liars. who cause strife, who won't keep to the pureness of their word, who won't keep to the pureness of their heart, to their death oath, the blood life, the family. Verse 12, the eyes of the Lord preserve knowledge, and he overthrows the words of the transgressor. A transgressor is an adulterer, a liar, one who goes directly against. The reason I use adultery a lot is because it's the core foundation of the first gift. Manifested in flesh. What I mean by this is if you're married, you have blood testimony from Adam and Eve, and you have word testimony from God, right? So there's two witnesses. Now, if you have a kid, you have three, the water birth. So you have water, blood, and word. That's why I always use adultery, because they are direct transgressors. There's no possible way they can be with God. Now, you can have multiple wives and do this somehow in Scripture, but what I mean by this is you cannot put away and marry another. That is adultery. Adultery is the hardening of the heart. It's direct rebellion against God. It's proof of unbelief. It's proof of infidelity. It's proof of blasphemy. It's proof that you don't trust God, but you trust man. It's proof that you'll use idols to describe sacred things. And so these are the transgressors. So again, verse 12, the eyes of the Lord preserve knowledge, and he overthrows the words of the transgressors, liars, scorners, men that will make idle to undo the word of God. And he overthrows the words of the transgressors. Again, of the adultery. I swear to death. Again, you can see why God overthrows that, because it will always teach the children to be liars who will swear to death. No good ever comes from it. This is direct sin against God. One of three. Verse 13, the slothful man says, there is a lion without. I shall be slain in the streets. What he's saying is, you're cowardly. You're not tending to God. You're not tending to the word. For instance, they build prisons, taking away your children's free right, force drug them, force them to schools that don't teach God. That's them seeing a lion. Now they go back to work, right? They pay bills above on time. They use legal Baal to destroy their own family and break their word oath. But they are slothful. Why? Because I've been showing you, the whole of the scripture is a sifter to see if you'll be fleshly Beelzebub, Baal, Egypt, serving hardworking people, or if you'll be spiritually neglecting, slothful. So a slothful man says, there is a lion without. I shall be slain in the streets. He says, so what if they're in treason against the Bill of Rights, the cornerstone of the nation? So what if they're in treason against, or in blasphemy against Mark 7:14 through 23, where Christ says, anybody that will judge you for a drug is defiled evil, scheming to steal, kill from you. They know this. It's in the gospel. They say they're followers of the book, but they're slothful and they go back to work. Why? Because they serve Beelzebub and Baal and not the living God, not the word. And so their transgression will be overthrown. The mouth of a strange woman is a deep pit. He that is abhorred of the Lord shall fall therein. A strange woman is an adulterous woman. Anybody that you bring into your vowed bed, your vowed oath. I've been guilty of this. I've been guilty of all these probably. So when it says, he that is abhorred of the Lord shall fall therein, means that God will run you to the end of this. Hopefully you don't die in it and God dispatch you. But literally, it's the release of the demons. It's God controlling Satan and the demonic force for the iniquity of your sins. Because you have abhorred the Lord. You didn't honor your death vows. You didn't honor your covenants. You didn't honor your God. You didn't look to your ancients. You didn't look to the prophets. You didn't look to the good book to see what God had to say. And God hates adultery. And that's one of the reasons he brought a plague on me. Thank you, God, for repenting me. Verse 15, foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him. What that means is he'll answer peer pressure. When I was a child, I thought as a child, I did as a child, I spoke as a child. What that means is somebody who doesn't hold to their covenants, death vows. Again, it has to do with the transgressors. Remember, these are written together for a reason. Um, so, what he means by the rod of correction is God is going to discipline you and show you that you're wrong, and he's going to plead with you until he doesn't. Because if you try to use it in the fleshly sense, then you could say, well, Christ was childish, and they beat and crucified him because he was childish, and so we drove away his not following man, not following government, not following legal law. You see my point? And many people will read it to do that, but the word is made to do that, to sift you, to see what you're paying attention to, where your heart is. And anyone that will follow a man to do evil, to incarcerate another without a victim, accuser, without a flesh and blood accuser, is a goddamned idolater and a goddamn coward, the same. Because if they're approving a man to do idolatry onto their neighbor, they're allowing it to be done to their spouse and to their children. And so they have the heart of a child. And so God will bring the rod of correction upon them. Verse 16. He that oppresses the poor to increase his riches, and he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want. You already know that. We've already went over that. It's them that will make idols to imprison you. No victim, no accuser, no crime. In treason to the Bill of Rights, the Declaration, the cornerstone of the whole union of the nation. In treason, in blasphemy to the whole of the Scriptures, liberty. You're not to follow men. They're not to rule over you and your children. But you give them to godless goddamn schools, literally. They don't even teach the national covenant, that the Declaration of Independence, the proving that we're in a covenant to the living God. And just like Israel forgot their covenant, so are we. So they're goddamn irresponsible. They're ignorant. They're childish of heart. And they're going to get the children killed. And that's why they go to work building prisons as liberties go away, claiming to be Christian while in adultery and blasphemy. So, he that oppresses the poor increases the riches, and he that gives to the rich shall surely come to want. Income tax is giving to the rich. That's literally 30 to 40% of your pay as a worker, which only equals less than 1% of the total tax income. That's literally 0.6% of the entire tax income of the nation. 0.6%, not even 1%, but it's 30-40% to you, because you would let the rich take from you and your family and your children. For playing your cowardness, you shall come to want. 17, and again, we're about to see why that is. Bow down thine ear and hear. See, because you'll bow down your children, in verse 16, because you'll bow down your neighbor to the rich, because you'll bow down yourself, your own spouse, your own children, you get goddamned. And 17 says, bow down your ear here. Don't listen to the rich. Don't listen to the oppressor, the idolater, the adulterer, the fornicator, the blasphemers, who are all in contradiction to the living God, who are all only trying to subject you to bow you down. But verse 17 says, but bow down your ear and hear the words of the wise, and apply your ear unto my knowledge. Now what he's saying is freedom and liberty. Don't go this way of idolatry, adultery, using goddamn idols to destroy God-made things. Don't go that way listening to them say that you can be married to another when they're in direct conflict to God. That makes them blasphemous goddamn liars, saying that you can be married to another. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that. Ever. You can never be torn asunder. And anyone that says that this is done proves their blasphemy. How's that so? Let no man tear asunder. So that from Christ, that before Christ, it's all through the Scripture. But anyone that thinks that it can be torn asunder and they can become your husband, or they can become your wife, or a judge, or anybody thinks they can make an idol to undo this, they profess their goddamn blasphemy. They've excelled the throne of God. Behold, I have seen Lucifer excel the throne of God. You see what I mean? And say that I know better than the Most High. God says you're united as one flesh, one soul, according to Ezekiel 14:14. So when they do this, they confess their blasphemy and that they're not believers. Now listen to the words of knowledge, of my knowledge, my fear in God, my searching, my not being slothful of the lion, is what he's saying. Because his words are also eternal. Same as Christ, because they're true, they're to God, they're fidelity to God. They're not fake ass swearing to death, go, I swear to death, and then change their mind. They're not doing that. This is from them that stand firm in fidelity. You can always tell the faithful from the unfaithful by adultery. One, because they think a man can tear asunder a marriage. Two, because they think an idol can. And three, because they think they can swear to death and teach it to the children while professing to be with God. It's not hard to see. As the scriptures say, compare the righteous to the wicked, and it is a clear contrast. 22:18. For it is pleasant, for it is a pleasant thing if thou keep them within thee. They shall with all be fitted by your lips, meaning all your words will be true. You won't fall to the adulterous woman, the strange woman, the deep pit. You won't be abhorred by the Lord, because you went to all the blood that suffered before you. 19. That your trust may be in the Lord. I have made known to you this day, even to you. Okay. True is trust. Trust is faith, belief in God. Hence, if a man says he is with Christ and commits adultery, he is proving he does not trust God, that he is going to play God, that he is not going to trust in God. Now, what's interesting about 19 also is it's reworded in the King James and in most other Bibles. Let me pull out a living translation. But this is actually from Egypt. It's from Aminope, Amenemope. He has 30 sayings in Egypt from the Book of the Dead or something. But in the original translation, that's what he says. That you may trust in the Lord. And I have made known to you this day, even to you, the 30 sayings of Imhotep. I think he's the one that built the pyramids, or is listed as building the pyramids. Clearly, he was a godly man, because Solomon right here and David are calling him one. The 30 sayings from Egypt to the fathers there. The blood testimony of truth. You'll always notice while I'm looking for this, you'll always notice the adulterers will use Beelzebub payments. They'll be more honorable to their contracts and to their idols than they will their death oath and family. They hate the blood and they hate the word. And you know they hate the word because they don't mind using God's name in blasphemy, and teaching to the children. Whether they say they hate it or not, they clearly hate it. For you cannot have two masters. You will love one and hate the other, or hate one and love the other. Like Christ said. And you'll see that they don't love their own spouse. They teach the children that their own mother is worth casting out. They'll pay no attention, no fidelity, no suffering to their word. But they'll cast out and brag about their Beelzebub payments, their boats, their houses, their cars. They'll boast in legal ball, which is legal law, which is just ball. Because the only law is the living Lord God, and they're in direct controversy to it. Have I not written to thee excellent things and counsels and knowledge? Verse 20. But in the Living Translation, have I not written for you 30 sayings containing counsels and knowledge? But these 30 sayings are a memo pet. Um, So from England or not England, from Egypt, we have proof that God was working with saints there too. I mean, it was a 3,000 year civilization. What brought it down was the triune worship because it's nothing but a triangle that does a 180-degree from the one true Lord God. Which you'll also notice all them in adultery and using legal law, paying bills above, also have a triune God, and they'll say they're with God, but they're playing a game with you. They're lying, and they'll deny the air in front of their face. They'll say, I love the word. And then they'll betray the word, but honor bills above in their contracts more than their death oath family mother of their children. So you can clearly see the goddamn wickedness here. By goddamned, I mean they're goddamned if they repent not. Uh, verse 20. Have I not written to thee excellent things and counsels and knowledge? Again, the 30 sayings of Amemope. 21. That I might make thee know the certainty of the words of truth. Notice truth. And then notice in verse 19, thy trust may be in the Lord to be true. I am the truth, the way, the life. That thou mightest answer the words of truth to them that send unto thee. To them that are sent to you and that you're sent to. Um, it's not hard. Every single person knows when they're lying or not. Every kindergarten class in the world can render adultery is wrong. Every kindergarten class in the world unanimously will always tell you, no, you can't swear to death and then change your mind and marry another. It's not possible. And so these are the words of truth. That's how you know they're in contrary to God. Whenever a kindergarten class or jury of 12 or the kindergarten class can render your wrong and you still think you're right, you know you're dealing with a person that denies the air in front of their face, probably serves Baal, and does a triangle play on your Christianity. Not serving the one true Lord God that Christ says to serve, how he defeats the devil. No, devil, you're not the Lord. Only one Lord, one God. Now notice how they'll call the devil the Lord of this world. Notice how they'll make three gods, but the way that Christ defeats them is by one Lord, one God. And so they're easy to see. They deny the air in front of their face. They always turn to idols. They always commit adultery, or they're always for adultery. They're serpents. They're cowards. They're to be pitied. Literally to be pitied, because they cannot muster the courage to stand up and do that which is right, but they'll bow their backs down to be slaves and make their children the same to idols. 22. Rob not the poor because he is poor, and neither oppress the afflicted in the gate. Again, the treason going up, the lying in the streets. You can see all this working together. Choose the good name. Choose God through all this. Because if you're poor, now remember, he said, the slothful don't come to poor, or whatever what he say here. The rich and the poor meet together. The Lord is the maker of them all. In verse 2, we have thorns and snares in the way of the froward, doth keep his souls far from them. Train up a child in the way. And so you see how he keeps reiterating this. It's sifting you to see if you'll serve man, Baal, and so forth. What you'll make your God, and if you'll do right. Rob not the poor because he is poor, and neither oppress the afflicted in the gate. Afflicted would be somebody doing drugs, right? Who's strung out on crack or meth or something like that. So you afflict them in the gate in their affliction. You oppress them in their affliction for just choosing, which Christ says is defiled and evil. Mark 7:14 through 23. You have them literally pulling people over, searching and seizing against the Fourth Amendment just to steal from the poor that can't afford insurance. Because nobody says, baby girl, let's not get insurance so the kids, when we die or wreck, that they won't be taken care of. Nobody does that. That's why the rich have multiple policies on one car, on one house, on one boat. Because insurance is good to have if you got the money. Or not good to have, but it benefits if you have money in idolatry. You know what I mean? So nobody says let's not get insurance, but the poor can't afford it. And so rob not the poor because he is poor, and neither oppress the afflicted in the gate. Another affliction in the gate is the orphans and refugees coming here on a mass exodus unarmed. And how you love God is how you love your neighbor. So in America, we have adultery, people blaspheming Christ's name in adultery. We have them refusing orphans and refugees. We have them robbing from the poor, their own countrymen, their own children. We have them bowing their own children and spouses down to idols of Baal. I mean, and then telling everybody they're good by their payment to Beelzebub because they don't mind oppressing the poor. They love their goddamn idols. They love their goddamn sin. They love their goddamn lie and their idols and playing God more than they love obeying God. 23. For the Lord will plead their cause and spoil the soul of those that spoil them. What he means is if you go to show them cruel intent, like they make the mass exodus here in faith to God, and you meet them with a heavy hand, and they came in faith, and you spoil their faith, God is going to fuck your world up and spoil you. Because you in your abundance could not render an answer. Now, this nation is founded on trusting in God. Statue of Liberty, our national monuments, our Declaration of Independence, our Bill of Rights are built around protecting immigrants. And you're all undoing this with goddamn idols so you can rob and steal from the poor. Because you're Baal, you're Beelzebub, you're fucking heir that you bow down to more than, and your idols than you do your own spouses, your own blood family, your own testimony, your own patriots of foreign war. You bow down to this shit and do this wicked goddamn shit more than you do that which is the most valuable. And they fooled you. They tricked you. And so when you go to ruin this faith for them coming in the name of the Lord, like the Latin America is, the South America, whatever it is, because they have no water, which is a God-made catastrophe, you spoil their faith by your goddamn cruelty. So by your goddamn wicked, and you say you're Christian, and so they come, they read on a dollar bill, and God we trust, and they come this way, and they believe you're a Christian nation. They hear the pipe dream. They get here and find out you're an adulterous goddamn whore that will pay money to shoot, kill, imprison, and send them back to where there's no water, no food, but your ass won't spend a dime to help them. Then what he's saying is by your spoiling of them, by ruining them, he's going to ruin you and your children and your nation. And it can also mean in the spiritual sense that if you bless them and feed them, then God will bless and feed you. 24. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man thou shalt not go. Now let me ask you this. If somebody will shoot, kill, chase, kick in your door, throw you in prison for years for a personal choice of a drug, is that not an angry, vicious goddamn man? If somebody will take a death oath family covenant, drag them before the court, and the judge say to them, here's an idol, and they swear away, they rise, the Baalif, the bailiff says, Baalif, all rise, swear away Christ, and you make that man now your God and your master, you get an idol from him, and you make your spouse, who you once shared equal rights with, you rip the child from them, and make them bow down to the idol, make them do drug tests, shit like that, which Christ says anyone that will do that is the defiled ones to steal, kill, and destroy from you. So if you're taking part in that shit, is that not an evil man? And if the spouse fights for his God-given right, which is in the Declaration, the laws of nature, if a spouse will fight for that and they still take the kid away, is that not a fucking evil man? Is that not a goddamn wicked answer? Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man thou shalt not go. So if you will shoot, kill, destroy family for personal choice because somebody made a pretty little idol that said don't drink, smoke this, which is insane because they're going to die just like you. So why would you ever give them rule over you on what drugs to do? They haven't broken any molds. They haven't performed any miracles. And the one that has stood for 2,000 years had no doctorate degree, but he stood for 2,000 years. And he was murdered by them doing the same goddamn thing, saying the Son of God couldn't drink. He couldn't get drunk. But that's real crazy because Noah got drunk, and it's Shem that got cursed, and God backed Noah on this. And Christ reiterates Noah's curse. You're cursed. You will serve man for this. Because you will rise in pride to judge another man for his liberty. You hate liberty.
And people that do this will give their liberty to another man, but then judge you for yours. Those who aren't free will judge another for being free. Misery loves company. And so because they become slaves to Baal, to Beelzebub, to goddamn dark forces, air, telling lies, denying the air in front of their face, betraying their own spouses, stealing their own children, murdering and pillaging for just idols. No victim accuser, no crime, but they are allowed to shoot, kill, chase you. Now, if a cop is going to pull you over on the street, and he wants to do a random search, which is treason because they're not allowed to search you at all without a warrant, a victim accuser, according to the Fourth Amendment, the law of this nation, because anybody in violation to this is in treason, is in misconduct and abuse of their power, so says the preamble. And the judges in Oklahoma swear to uphold the Constitution of the every judge does that, uphold the Constitution of the United States. But in Oklahoma, they swear to ensure you your rights. So if they're randomly pulling you over, taking your car, searching you, now if you won't stop, and they chase you down, and they bring every city or every cop in the state and the nation to chase you down, put on 9 o'clock news, and you just keep running, and they literally drive you so much in fear to crash and kill yourself, and they post this shit on the 9 o'clock news. Is this not an angry and furious man? What did you do? Their escalation is only answered in fury, rage, and imprisonment, and they expect you to bow down in supremacy. Now, these are your servants. Your public servants. Literally, they work for you, and they're never allowed to touch you without another one of us, a citizen, giving them a warrant. According to the Fourth Amendment, according to the First Amendment, that they're not allowed to establish a religion. But if they're going around seeing if you have an idol, that's a religion. That's the oldest religion in the world. That's idolatry. That's Babylon. That's the Tower of Babel. That's That's Assyria. That's goddamn idolatry. If they're saying you need an idol, they've just established the First Amendment. And that's why our founders made the Bill of Rights, because they're wholly inspired documents that manifest the gospel and the Bible, stopping people from making idols to make you and your children bow down to. So if they'll shoot and kill you for personal choice, destroy your family. Now you're breaking a death oath, right? You're getting a divorce. You want the kids. You're breaking a death oath, right? And you're going to sling as much shit as you can at them, right? Now the judge is going to give it to the one that betrays the best. Why is that? Because you come there to do idolatry. Now anyone that will keep a parent, a natural God-made parent, from the kids are goddamn blasphemers. In treason to the Declaration of Independence, because it says all men are created equal, and that we're endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. What would be an unalienable right? Your children. In the beginning it says, laws of nature and nature's God. Right? But they make idols in contrary to the laws of nature. So they purposely divide your family using fury and oppression, idolatry, serving bills above all. It's easy to tell a Christian from a non-Christian. A Christian does not surrender to another. Whenever you hear them quote Romans 13, you shall obey the orders of those appointed over you, he's mocking them. Remember when he says they don't bear the sword in vain? Did they not kill Christ? Remember when he says they don't bear the sword in vain? Paul knew they killed Christ. He's mocking them. He's laughing at them. They killed all the apostles, all the prophets, and they killed Paul. Paul, who wrote that, is beheaded. You understand this? They imprisoned him and beheaded him. He's mocking them when he says this. Because Paul follows God. He's not obeying goddamn man. God says in the scripture, anybody that follows man is cursed. Anybody that trusteth in man and what man makes is cursed. And so, whenever they use that, they're goddamn liars. They're doing the Trinity effect scheme. They're bouncing you around. They don't serve God. They serve idols, Baal, Beelzebub. That's why they always say when you quote your Bill of Rights, when you show them the cornerstone blood paid, they always move away from it. They always deny it. They're never allowed to talk about it. They must deny it because there's life, blood in it. That's the oath. That's a covenant. But these are covenant breakers. And remember what Christ said. You can't get good fruit from an evil goddamn root. You can't do it. And so as long as they are oath-breaking liars, they can't get in the blood. That's why they'll rob, steal, kill you and your children. They'll do anything they're told because they're slaves. Like I said, they're to be pitied, not feared. man will die, not every man will die faithful. Make no friendship with 24. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man thou shalt not go. You won't go, is what he's saying. You won't go. Even if you go with him, you're not going to go. He's going to betray you in fury. He's going to rob you. It's like trying to believe an adulterer who steals the kids from his first wife, saying he's a Christian, and then the second wife's going to believe him. She never birthed his kids. She never did that blood-fulfilling oath. She's just a passing idol fornication, the hottest thing. And what he did was forsake the mother of his children. And so when you actually go to believe this guy, you must understand how stupid this shit is. There's no way he can be Christian. Christians go to the cross faithfully, all the way. 25. Lest thou learn his ways and get a snare to thy soul. Meaning you're not going to go anyways. You might in this life, but he's going to snag your soul. He's going to kill you. 26. Be not thou one of them that strike hands, or of them that are surety for debts. A Beelzebub payer that will commit adultery. This is those that are surety for debts. They expect the idols to rule. They expect you to pay in this debt. They'll shake hands and conjoin with strangers to rob their own wives, their own spouses, and steal their own children. They'll honor the legal paper. Idol made by man, cursed. They're sure for these debts. Go not with them. They're furious. They're betrayers. They choose not the good name. They do not do truth. They hate the word. They hate God. They hate blood. They hate the water. They hate the testimony. They love their idols. Every passing idol. And they'll always, like locusts, will forsake. If a man will forsake the wife of his kids and marry a new woman, you must understand he'll forsake the new woman. He'll never stop. If he'll do it to the mother of kids and teach it to his kids, you must understand how sick and sin this is. Like he said, he's in a deep pit, abhorred by the Lord. Because if you can't stay faithful to the mother of your children and teach your children, what the hell do you know about fidelity, truth, Christianity, suffering, God? What do you know of it? Nothing. You know of Beelzebub and Baal. 27. If thou hast nothing to pay, why should he take away thy bed from under thee? If a person can't afford insurance, why should you take the car? If a person can't afford the good drugs but does street drugs, why should you take him from his house and his family? 28. Remove not the ancient landmarks which thy fathers have set. Statue of Liberty. Give us your weak, your sick, your hungry, your tired, your poor, your huddled masses. Declaration of Independence. The king is refusing to let immigrants come to our country to nationalize. The First Amendment, no prohibition of religion, which means the Christian religion, nobody's allowed to tell you what to eat, drink, smoke, shoot up, whatever it is. Mark 7:14 through 23. Colossians 2, 14 through 19. Let no one judge you in these matters. The Bill of Rights, the Declaration, the ancient landmarks of your fathers, nationally and worldly, the pyramids, proving that hard work, labor, Pharaoh's theology, go back to work hard, pay your bills, don't listen to vain words. That's Pharaoh, Exodus 5, that slave-making mentality. And you'll notice they do this to the children because the children are what they owe Baal and Beelzebub for what they got. Now, remove not the ancient landmarks. This is the Hansel and Gretel that I was talking about. They won't teach them the bread of life. They won't teach them their Bill of Rights. They won't teach them the cornerstone to see if somebody's robbing, stealing, killing them illegally in treason, which is exactly what they're doing. They remove these landmarks and establish new idols of adultery, fornication, lie, blasphemy. They remove the Bible. That's why they don't let you talk God in the courts. That's why they don't let you face your accuser, because those are the landmarks, the cornerstone. Those are the truth, the blood, the testimony, the life, which all adulterers, blasphemers, idolaters, fornicators are all against. They hate this. That's what we're talking about here. That's what he's talking about. 29. Seest thou a man diligent in his business? He shall stand before kings. He shall not stand before mean men. Diligence is fidelity. So any Beelzebub payer, any hard worker is not diligent. They are slaves to another man. They are doing that which a man makes them do. That's not diligence. That's servitude. That's submissive. That's not seeking God. Hebrews 11:6. For it is impossible to please the Lord without faith. For those of us that go before God know that He is, and that He rewards them that diligently seek Him. Diligence is trust. Trust is faith. Faith is firmness, virtue, steadfast, doesn't move. So an adulterer cannot have diligence. An adulterer cannot have faith. An adulterer cannot do these things. They are furious men that will bow their own spouses down to idols. You have all these things. Now, as you go through this, is the end of it. Now, as you go through this, you're going to see you're guilty of all this. Let us always remember, every man is found a liar and comes short of the glory of God. Okay? But not every man is found a practicing liar. Not every man is found a practicing idolater. Not every man is found submissive to other men, governments, and teaching their children the same rather than teaching them to serve and trust in the Lord God. Not every man continues to build up the tomb and the prisons and the jails to put their freaking children in for their comfort today and their children's death tomorrow. Which is exactly what you have happening today. Which is the cause of most adultery, for finance. It has nothing to do with anything else except finance. Beelzebub servants. They like to destroy the righteous family and then put the Beelzebub servants together so that they can collaborate in their building of lies and witchcrafts. So they get what is called chain effects, stacks. They like to see how much destruction they can do in it at one time. So everybody partakes in this and is born under the power of Beelzebub and Baal and the air, the devil. Every man. Since the garden, since the fall. And that's a lie from the devil and Beelzebub and other people that know at the higher ranks of these evil echelons. They know you're born under this. They just try to get you into this contract so you believe liars. But you must understand, everything done with a liar is a lie. It's never approved. The entire works of them, their idols, their forces, are only but a time. They come and they go. For instance, can you name to me the evil people in the Civil War? Yeah. And the one that you can name, Robert E. Lee, became a saint. Once humiliated, once losing, he actually became a saint. Was not necessarily a civil rights activist, but he was. He's the first man to pray at his church with a black man, take communion with him. He's the first man to pull forth. What I mean, though, is you can't name any of the wicked ones, but you can name Abe Lincoln. Well, you can name William Booth, but known as a bad thing. And that's what I mean, is these names are forever written of them that serve idols and so forth. They vanish. They don't get in the true vine. And so if you're ever found outside of this, and which you should be, because I killed children in foreign lands for a lying nation, army, weapons of mass destruction, my ass. And the invasion of Afghanistan, everybody knows, was for the heroin. Hence the heroin epidemic in America now. How do you think that shit gets here? Because they invaded Afghanistan to do it, so that they could charge more people with heroin, get more. You know how it's done. Stop playing like you don't. And what the worst part is the cowardness, the lying in the street. And so even when the lion comes, you have to stand. You have to stand in the way. You have to remain faithful. You have to return to your covenants, your cornerstones. So again, these people are not to be feared. They're to be pitied. Fear God. Anytime you encounter this, take it as a test. Like Peter says, take it as it is. It's a test of your fidelity, a proof of your trial. If your wife or your husband's in adultery and it's been a year, stay faithful. If it's been 10 years, stay faithful. If it's been 20, stay faithful. As the scriptures say, you're the believer. This is your trial, and you may be able to save them. I believe you do, because God is ever so powerful, and he that you serve is faithful. And when does he count? If he counts you as one soul, according to Ezekiel 14:14, you already know. So always repent back.
Never put anybody under subjection of idols is what they're talking about. Never put anybody under subjection of another man, a power other than God. Choose the good name, like it began with 22:1. Choose the good name, God's. Only God is good. God bless you. Fight the good fight of faith. It's everything worth fighting for. It's everything worth dying for. It's everything worth getting to the kids. The only thing worth getting to the kids. God's good name. God bless.